everyone. Good evening and good afternoon, and welcome to the Freedback Friday edition of The Rundown. That's right, this is the first Freedback Friday of 2022. I am your host, Craig DeLuz, coming at you from the West Coast, the left coast, behind the Iron Curtain, otherwise known as the Sierras. But as we all know, I do not do this program by myself.
Nope, I try to jump in and help where I can. My name is Mike Piwowarski. I am the co-host from the East Coast. That's the coast with the most for the co-host with the most. We're bringing you 2A news and conservative views here on The Rundown on Freedback Friday.
Freedback Friday. So, Mikey, why do we call it Freedback Friday?
Because on Freedback Friday, if we get certain levels of involvement from you, the viewer out there, then we like to give you stuff. So it's free stuff for feedback. So it's Freedback Friday.
Freedback Fridays. Kind of like, we're merging it together, kind of like Bennifer, right?
Oh.
Right?
Oh. Yeah.
So we're just like putting it together, right? We're just marrying stuff.
Right. Yeah. No, that's a good one, Bennifer. I'm trying to think of some other ones out there. I can't think of any right now.
Good stuff. How's the weather out there, sir?
68 degrees. It's horrible.
68 degrees. It is a freezing 68 degrees in Florida.
Yeah. I was thinking about putting on socks today. Yeah.
Socks instead of pants, right?
Well, I'm never wearing pants. I mean, we're not doing that. But normally I wear the socks that are either the ankle touchers or just the liners in my athletic shoes that I wear. I thought about wearing maybe like calf height because it was kind of cold out, just to cover up a little bit more.
That's interesting. That is interesting to say the least.
Because that's all the rage. All the kids are wearing the tall socks again now.
Is that right? The big long socks. Well, see, now I wear those when I do, for example, my when I play basketball. They really, but those are like compression socks. So
yeah, that's your old man socks. That's different. Yeah. That's
right.
They've
always been old man socks. They just now have been repurposed for basketball. So now they're kind of cool.
Right. And you can get them in black and with designs on them. It's not just them like the ones from the hospital that were all just bright as white,
Well, but see, the designs on them are actually so that you know exactly, like, okay, make sure you put them and point them in the right directions. Those things, though, man, they kind of cut off your circulation.
Oh, well.
Anyway, folks, hey, by the way, so with Freedback Friday, here's the deal. And I know because I see a few of you are watching on different channels. You may be watching on 2A News. You may be watching on the California Republican Assembly or on Arms Room Radio or Craig DeLuz. But here's the thing, folks. The feedback that we're following is at The Rundown. Now, we're currently on hiatus, on suspension. We're currently in YouTube jail. So obviously there's not much commentary going on there. But we are actually on Facebook. So you got to find us on Facebook and participate in the conversation. So make sure y'all get plugged in. If you want to participate, you want a chance to win, make sure you are following us or that you are part of the conversation at the Rundown. So it's 2A News Rundown. Look for the Rundown. You'll find it. If it ain't hard to find. We're really not that hard to find. So why don't we go ahead? What?
I've lost your sound, and I'm pretty positive it's on my end, so I don't want you freaking out. I'm just going to refresh and be back in a moment with you.
Okay, well, while he is gone, I am going to go ahead, and we're going to get into the first story of the day, all right? We're going to go ahead and touch on this first bit of news. All right, so the first story of the day has to do with the odds of dying from firearms. Now, I was actually looking here at, what is this? Armed American News, right? And they were looking at data that came from the National Rifle Association. As a matter of fact, why don't I go ahead and pull that data up for you so that you can see it. All right, so here they're talking about the various different things, the chances of dying from whatever relating to firearms. Now, nationally, it says here that you are 163 times more likely to die from poisoning than by a firearm accident. And the whole point of this is, from dealing with firearm accidents. In Florida, the number is 470 times. Now, I don't know if that's that you guys in Florida have better firearm safety, or that you are more likely to poison each other there in Florida. Can you hear me, Mike?
I can, and I think it's in Florida. We have a separate category for lead poisoning, Craig. I think that's the problem down here.
Right. Okay. Okay. Sure. That's exactly what it is. Right. But the point here is that also notes that you are 76 times more likely to die in a motor vehicle accident than from a firearm accident. And I thought that's important to note since, well, people want to make it out like firearms are so bad and so evil and people are so unsafe with firearms that we have to do everything possible to make sure that the individual cannot own them. I just thought that would be an interesting thing to share.
Listen, I've known this for a long time, and if anybody that's ever come to Florida knows this, these facts, this study just proves, Craig, that it's safer to drive down the street shooting at people than it is to just drive down the street without a gun.
Wait. Okay, you have to restate that comment again.
Well, you said you're more than likely to die in a car crash than you are in a shooting, right?
Okay.
So that just proves in Florida it's okay to drive down the road shooting at people, and it's safer than just driving without the guns. So
okay, all right. Wow, I didn't see that coming. I did not see that coming. But folks, here's the thing, and the people to credit for this are groups like NSSF, or groups like folks within the industry, like the individual independent firearms retailers, like the NRA, groups that really have focused on education, on educating people on how to be safe with their firearms. And they never get enough credit. And then there's places like California, which charge you a fee that's supposed to go into a firearm safety fund, and none of the money goes towards anything having to do with safety of a firearm at all. In fact, they raid that fund oftentimes in order to help regulate firearm owners, in order to help confiscate firearm owners' firearms in California. But, it is California. But yeah, so anyway, I thought that was a very, very good thing to share. Folks can know
it
firearm
is good
safety
stats. We have a little fun, but obviously it just proves again that put a firearm in someone's hand and they do become more responsible than the everyday citizen out there.
Well, exactly, because most people who take the time to go and buy a firearm, most people who buy firearms, quite frankly, they realize the seriousness of what they're now engaging in, and so they want to make sure that they're doing whatever they can to be responsible in that firearm ownership.
Yep, absolutely right.
Okay, moving right along to our next story. Wokeness kills the TV station. Now, I don't know how many of you out there watch the CW. I used to never watch the CW, and I started watching some of the things, like some of the shows on there that I used to like some of the like the DC shows, like they had Arrow, and they had what was the other one? The Flash. But you start watching shows like that, and you start watching some of these shows, and you realize that wokeness has pretty much taken over. I mean, not just that network, but it's taken over a bunch of networks. Well, now it's gotten so bad that their ratings have plummeted because they realize that most of Middle America, most of what they consider to be flyover states, have decided that they don't support the values being promoted on a lot of the shows on CW. And ratings have plummeted so much, Mike, that they're now having to sell the network in order to recoup their investments.
Craig, that's what happens, right? Go woke, get broke. That's what we've been saying for the 2-3 years this nonsense has been going on. The good news, folks, is if you'll notice towards the end of the program, Craig's going to put a little GoFundMe link at the bottom there. You put some money in there. Rundown's going to buy the CW. We're going to take over. We're going to do the programming. We're going to have our own show. It's going to be 24-hour Craig and Mike all day, every day, coming to you live from the new non-woke CW. That's the plan.
Exactly. It's going to be the Blackout Chronicles. It's going to be Morning Coffee with Craig. It's going to be Arms Room TV.
There you
It's
go.
going. It's going to be the Rundown. Get down with the
Yep,
Rundown, right?
that's it.
It's going to be. It's
Friday
going to be
night
all
rundown
good.
party night.
Look, we can look. Look, we only need a few shekels to buy the CW.
That's it. Kick them in. Just kick them in.
You
We'll
know,
be good.
I will give the CW credit because they were one of the first networks, and I will say this: they started having cat shows with diverse casts and stuff like that. Actually, Fox was probably the first, but they really went out of their way to try and make sure. Not that I. Here's the thing: I'm not like, okay, every show's got to have someone of a different ethnicity or anything like that. But I do like to see leading people of different. I like to see different people in positions in acting. I like to see the variety. But here's the thing. Ultimately what it comes down to is it's got to be good, right? And when the goal of diversity or the goal of wokeness becomes more important than making sure that what you're producing is good, you're done.
Yeah, absolutely. I remember when I think it was the CW and WB, and you remember they were two separate networks.
Yeah.
They merged to become this one network a few years back, and they were all right. When Fox first split off and became the fourth network, the real network, they followed slightly behind and kind of became what Fox was. Remember, just running
Yep.
the reruns, and then they started
Yep.
to get, like you said, into that original programming, and the original programming was fine, all right, up front, and then the wokeness came in, and every character had to be a handicapped transgender black girl with Asian roots.
But
They just
remember,
had to be everything.
but when I talked about diversity, wasn't WB wasn't that was a in Living Color, wasn't it?
That was, I think Living Color started on Fox, didn't it?
Oh, I don't know. Well, I'll have to I'll have to look that up while you talk about our next story, because our next story is another cool one.
Oh, so you mean you're going to check with the interns? Got it. Folks, the McCloskeys, the story that just continues to give and give. You've got the McCloskeys are the two attorneys that were out there in the suburbs of greater metro St. Louis. The crowd from the BLM crowd that was marching through the neighborhood because they heard the mayor used to live there, and they got bad intel. They were going to where the mayor used to live. They had to break down the gate. They came inside. If you remember this, McCloskeys came out. Him with his AR-15 and her with her looked like a little Bursa 380, and stood their ground. They never really got silly aggressive with them. She clearly needed some firearms training on how to hold the gun, but we're not going to hold that against her in this story. And they got charged. They got charged with a couple of misdemeanor crimes. They took a plea out for him because, if you recall, the charge was something along the lines of using your firearm in a threatening manner. And he said, okay, well, it's not a felony. It's a misdemeanor. And I did use my firearm in a threatening manner. That's the whole reason for using the firearm, because I was threatening them that if they came onto my property, they were going to taste the lead. So they took the charge. Well, subsequently from there, the governor pardoned them. So the charges are gone. They both ended up giving up. I think he paid $900 in fines. She paid $2,000. The guns together are probably worth about $2,000. And when they pled out, they agreed to give up the guns, so they could be destroyed, and they paid the fines. Well, since they've been pardoned, they said, "Hey, what's up with our fines and our guns?" Well, the fines are always there, right? They're just in the coffers. But the city and the police department had not destroyed the guns yet, so they're suing the police department now to get the guns back. They said, "Well, you have a conviction." He goes, "No, we don't have a conviction anymore. Been pardoned. That's been null and void. It's been set aside. It's as if it never existed." So they're fighting to get their guns back, and the city doesn't know what to do, and the police department's waiting for the city to decide what to do, because if the guns had been destroyed on time and they had been an efficient police agency, this wouldn't even be an issue. But because they're a slacker, and this is over a year and a half later, they got a shot at getting their guns back, right? Which is great. Oh, the update also. He is running for senator for the great state of Missouri and has got a pretty substantial lead.
Well, which is just proof that they may want to give him his guns back, because he may be he may be able to have some
Yeah.
some influence, some political influence there
Yep.
in that particular state.
Yep.
But here's the thing, folks. It's not uncommon, even for people who have been found innocent of whatever crimes they're charged with, for them not to be able to get their guns back, even when they've never been charged, but they've had their firearms confiscated. It's not a new or unusual thing for the government to say, "Yeah, no, well, are these guns yours? Well, wait a minute, you took them from me, didn't you? Well, no, but you still have to prove that these particular firearms are in fact your firearms. Well, why do I have to prove it? Here's a receipt. You took them out of my safe." Nope, it's not unusual. In fact, I give you an example. Like for the red flag laws in California, the group of people who have been found to be, they took their guns, they went to court, they were found that their gun rights never should have been taken away. 80% of those folks whose gun rights should have never been taken away, 80% of them didn't get their guns back. That's how bad it is. 80% of them have not gotten their guns back because, well, government decided that they just didn't want to give them back to them. So that's not an unusual thing. So it's really nice to see, Mike, that folks are actually standing up and making a statement. And by the way, before we move on to the next subject, I just wanted to let you know. So you were right. It was on Fox. But here's some examples of the shows that they did have. And why, when I talk about that diversity, you had Sister, you had the Wayans brothers, Jamie Foxx, the Parenthood, Smart Guy. You had
Smallville and Charmed are the two I remember the most. Angel was on there.
PJs. Yep. Yeah. Oh yeah. They're Angel and all those. But my point is, they had more diverse. They had a lot of diverse shows on there, and so that was always good. And those were always, it's always good to have good. They were good shows, or at least the ones that lasted more than a season.
Yes. Yeah. They will say that again. When they had good programming, they had good programming. When they fell off the woke cliff, though, they fell hard.
Fell hard. Go woke, go broke. That's the way it goes. Yep. All right. Hey, I believe you're the lead on this next story as well.
Out of the state of Georgia, they have Governor Kemp down there, and if you'll remember Governor Kemp when he did his election, promotions and commercials 3 years ago, it was him driving around with a pickup truck with a shotgun. How Second Amendment he was and how great he was, and I got to say this: I don't think he's been bad for Georgia, but the state house in Georgia has been Republican since Georgia has existed, and now they have the Republican governor back there in office, and yet the three of them have never gotten together to pass any pro-gun laws. We know that he was mostly absent during the fiasco going on in Atlanta with getting their ballots certified with their election supervisor as well. So he was kind of lost. Nobody'd seen the governor for quite some time. Well, now he's got a viable candidate running against him. The former what was he? He was the governor a while ago, I believe it was Governor Perdue. Former Senator Perdue is now running for governor there. Yes, it's the same Perdue as the chicken name, but he's not one of the chicken people. So Governor Perdue, they're running against him. And now, 3 years into his term, the governor's like, well, we could probably do some kind of constitutional carry, or we could kind of do some permitless carry, which is what Perdue has been putting on in his election bid. So everything that he's bringing up now, Kemp is bringing in. And I got to tell you, Kemp is probably not even going to make the primary. Perdue is coming up against him in the primary. So the warning out there is, listen, you might get into that first term in office if you say you're going to be pro-gun, but the voters are conservative voters are not like liberal voters. Liberal voters will continue to let them tell you, don't worry, African Americans, we're going to take care of you. Don't worry, Hispanic Americans, we're going to give you programs and money and everything else. And then when they never provide that for you, they continue to get voted for. Conservative voter, if you tell him, listen, we're going to do gun rights and we're going to get some gun stuff rolled back and put some new anti-gun restrictions, or put some restrictions on the anti-gun people. If you don't do that, this is what's going to happen to you. You are going to get rolled back yourself. You're going to get woke and go broke because You won a state by a very wide margin, and now you're going to lose it by even a greater margin because Governor Kemp did not keep his word when it came to Second Amendment voters.
Well, exactly. And it's, Mike, once again, there are Republicans who think that just because they have an R after their name, that it's assumed that they are pro-gun. And there are Republicans who think that way. But I'm going to tell you right now, not every Republican is pro-gun. They may not necessarily be anti-gun, but being pro-gun means you are seeking to advance and protect our right to keep and bear arms. Not being anti-gun simply means you're just not going out of your way to try and take away our rights. And, a lot of these folks, and I think we saw the same thing out of Governor Abbott there in Texas, who hadn't done a pro-Second Amendment thing his entire time and now in office. And now all of a sudden he's pushing gun rights because he knows that he's losing a significant portion of his base. Folks, here's the thing. I ain't a Republican because I like Republicans. I like Republicans, and there are plenty of Democrats that I like just as much. And not in terms of elective office, but as people. I like hanging out with them. But here's the thing. I became a Republican because the values align with mine. And what we ought to be doing is we ought to be supporting candidates who support our values, right? If your number one thing is pro-gun, is gun rights, is the Second Amendment, then you need to be supporting people who are going to support your right to keep and bear arms. It's really that simple, right? And if you do that, they will pay attention. Trust me, they will. Because ultimately, for many of them, their number one goal is to get reelected. And oh, by the way, Patrick, who, by the way, noted that he was really kind of dissatisfied with the level or the amount of drink. Just so you know, Patrick, this one is for you.
Eyes on, no, Patrick. Good job taking notes there. That's how you do it.
It'd be like that. But I'm tired of, dude, the number of times I've had to correct a Republican legislator over something that they introduced that was anti-gun, or the position that they took, which is completely and utterly off because they didn't know what they were talking about. Beyond frustrating. And it's like, look, take the time to educate. If you're going to call yourself pro-gun, then take the time to know and understand the technology, the policy, and how the two intersect.
Yeah, absolutely right. Absolutely right. Yeah, and you just got to be knowledgeable. And listen, you may not be knowledgeable on every single conservative topic out there, but the ones that you're saying and you're purporting to know, you'd better know, because the rest of us are going to ask you for your opinion and want to know it. And if you come up with the tap dance and backstroke, that's going to be pretty obvious.
Well, it's funny. I worked for two members of the California State Legislature. What I appreciated about them both was, if it wasn't an issue area where they had a really good knowledge or background, they didn't get up and speak and pontificate on it.
Right.
They didn't try to offer legislation on it. They really focused on what they knew. And when it was something that wasn't necessarily in their wheelhouse, they made it a point to try and learn and make sure their staff knew and understood it. And, but they also admitted what they knew and what they didn't know.
Right. Yeah.
That's
how you do it. That's how you stay level and you get that respect out of the people. Yeah, that's how you do it.
Exactly. People are forgiving when you admit what you don't know, but don't act like you're on our team and then turns out you really don't know the playbook.
Hey, you can only fake the funk so much. You just gotta, nod, smile and wave, boys. Right?
Smile and wave. Good stuff. Well, hey, let's get into today's parting shot. And this one kind of, all right, so you guys know we're all dealing with the quote unquote Omicron variant, right? Or the Omicron variant of COVID-19. Well, you also know that if you've watched this program on the regular, then you also know that like 57% of those who are in the hospital with COVID are with COVID, they actually went to the hospital for something else. Like, they have a broken leg and they tested them for COVID and they tested positive for COVID. That's the overwhelming percentage. And for the most part, most of them have absolutely little to no symptoms. I mean, little to no symptoms, right? Which, by the way, leads us to today's our first parting shot. Bam! At first glance, I'd say you had an arrow through your head, but I'll run a COVID test just to make sure. Good stuff. Good stuff. Good stuff.
Very nice. Very
nice. Very nice. Now, Mike, I'm going to give you the pleasure of doing this one. All right, I'll give you the pleasure. There's really nothing really to it except, to do it. Right?
I actually think this next one's kind of offensive and don't approve of it. I don't know why you posted it.
You're the one who shared it with me.
Yeah, but it wasn't for public consumption. Just some great comedy here, folks. There she was, just a walking down the street singing "Do wah diddy diddy dum daddy do." There she was, just a walking down the street
singing "Do wah diddy diddy dum diddy do." She looked good. She looked fine. She looked good. She looked fine. And I nearly lost my mind.
Before I knew what, she was walking next to me.
Singing "Do I diddy diddy dum." Dude, that is that is excellent stuff. Excellent stuff. So let me get over here to some of the comments that we have from today's show. Let's see. Kevin saying what up. So we got Kevin Sona and we have Patrick Collins both tuning in. So we got Florida and Georgia tuning in to watch the show this afternoon.
I think Patrick was with me when we met Governor or the candidate Kemp at the time at one of the Georgia Carry conventions, and it was right before. So that would have been August, right before the election, and he was very, very pro-gun, very, 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 very pro-gun, and had the gun vote. And I know those people there in Georgia are plenty angry that he has not come through on his promises.
Well, now here's the thing. First of all, ultimately, the legislature is the one who introduces legislation. But when you are when you are the leader, when you are the governor, right? You're the leader of the state party. And as the leader of the state party, if you control both houses of the legislature, you have some influence over the legislators, the policies and the legislation that they introduce, right? And when you control both houses, you ought to be getting some of this stuff done.
Right. And remember, he when the election stuff was going on, and his Secretary of State, I think his name is, what was it, Roethlisberger or whatever his name was?
You mean Ben Rapisberger?
Is it? The governor did nothing there at all. So I know, the regular Georgia conservatives plus the Trump conservatives in that state are done with them. So it's a horrible waste of an opportunity that he had.
Yeah, no, you are 100% correct. Oh yeah, Patrick says here, yes sir, he made the effort to shake my hand. He even took away citizen's arrest, which is now illegal.
There you go. That's old Barney Fife used to abuse that all the time, right? No, that was Gomer Pyle. Gomer used to do it. Citizen's arrest. Yeah.
Yeah, Barney Fife was actually a cop.
Remember when Gomer was still running the gas station?
Yes. That was before he left Mayberry.
That's right. It went to the court.
Governors need to call these representatives out. I definitely agree with you, Mr. Sona. All righty, sir. Well, what's the plan now, man? What are we going to do?
The plan is January 17th,
right?
Las Vegas, Nevada, Hofbrauhaus. We've got sponsors sign on to bring you beverages free of charge. All right, our good friends at
as long as the budget lasts. I'm sure they got a budget.
Guerrilla Machining, a grid defense there. We're working on a couple others. I don't want to say any names yet. Some familiar names, but we're trying to bring some more into. I think we're going to have to do is limit the party to a couple hundred people.
Yeah,
because once you start putting out there that the beverages will flow free, you're going to get everybody. So,
well, maybe what we'll do is we'll either limit the size or limit the time.
I was thinking like a number of people with wristband, but hey, we do whatever we got to do. It doesn't matter.
There you go. We'll do whatever we got to do. But look, the point is, a good time will be had because Mikey will be there and Craig will be there. And
That's
wherever
right.
we are, that's where the party is.
And don't forget, we're bringing in the great grandson of Daniel Boone with us, and the wild man himself, Wild Man Billy. He's coming back.
Wildman
We're
Bill
getting
is going to be there, and
we're getting the band back together.
Earl Boone of
Yep.
ZZ Top.
That's right. We're getting the band back together.
Excellent, dude. We're gonna have a phenomenal time, folks. If you only make it to Vegas for this particular party, you've got to be there. You've got to make sure to make it there, folks. Tell your friends. Tell them to come on out. Tell them to come say hi to Mike and say hi to Craig. If they're going to be at SHOT Show, we're also going to be on Media Row. So we're going to be doing interviews, live interviews from SHOT all week. It's going to be a lot of fun. But you guys want to make sure you tune in. You want to make sure, visit our sponsors, let them know, hey, thank you for sponsoring this event on that Monday night. It's going to be a lot of fun. We're going to have a great time. As we always have a good time at SHOT. Dude, I so missed SHOT last year.
Me too. Sometimes I go to bed and I dream about it.
It is the beginning of my year. I trained for SHOT Show. You taught me that.
Oh, you have to. Yeah, you can't just show up not used to no sleep and having caffeine every day and watching what you eat. No, you've got to, baby, you got to train at least 90 days out. You got to get ready for SHOT.
Yes, you got to train. You have to be prepared. And I'll tell you, the one thing that really does it is when you go into those casinos, they must pump oxygen in there, because I don't know how I can stay up till 3:00 in the morning and then be up and over at SHOT at 8 a.m. and feel good all day and do that for an entire week. I can't do that at home.
I told you how. One, you never sit down. Two, what are you going back to your room for? Just stay out until it's time to go to work. That's all.
No. I gotta get a wee bit of sleep.
You get during transportation. You could sleep in transportation.
Oh yeah, sleep in the Uber. Nice.
That's it.
All right, folks. Well, hey, that's going to be it for Freedback Friday. We very much appreciate you hanging out. We appreciate you joining the show, being a part of the program. We have a good time. We love doing this, and we love doing it because you guys make it so much fun. So please remember, like, share, subscribe. If you want to listen to us, you can find us anywhere you find podcasts. Just look for The Rundown, 2A News and Conservative Views, and you will find us. So you can listen, you can watch. Watching is more fun. But whatever you do, make sure you like, make sure you share, and make sure you subscribe. And encourage your friends to do the same. You folks take care and have a good weekend.